All right, so what we have in front of us now is a guide of scale, proportion, and also bony landmarks for the average human figure, really for the most part across cultures. Now there's a couple of, about 3 or 4 different proportional guides and theories, and of course we have the Greeks and the Romans, and they made figures heroic, but I find that the one that I use and teach, not that it's the truth of the be-all or end-all, is pretty standard and pretty average. That's what I'm looking for. Not something not too crazy out of whack, and not something, well, too crazy or out of whack, right? And so that's what I'm looking for. And what that is about what I was taught at Art Center, in art school, when I was in LA, is about 7.5 heads tall for the figure. Okay, now this is a 2-part video. The first part is what I'm talking about now, and if you want to use this as a guide and not make the drawing, then you'll stop at the end of this section, and I'll let you know when that section ends. It'll be obvious. But then I actually have videotaped the actual drawing of it, the actual making of it. I think we've all gone through this in art school, and I think it's a useful tool to have generally under your belt. Now, full disclaimer, for the most part, when I draw, it's all observation and perception, but I've got this so ingrained in my memory that it really manifests itself out. It works itself out well. It pairs nicely with perspective. I've got another drawing that I've released, a plan view that talks about this, alludes to this situation in a different way. It's a little bit different drawing. It's not necessarily the same. Okay, so keep that in mind. But what we have here is a drawing that uses the human figure as a head model, a full-size head. From the top of the head to the bottom of the head, the chin to the very top of the head is 1 unit, and those units repeated or stacked, the figure is about 7.5 units tall. Now 8 has been used. It makes it a little bit taller, a little bit more heroic. But ultimately, if you were drawing, let's say, avatar-like figures that were very tall, very thin, they could be 12 heads, 13, 14, or if you wanted something very short and squat, like a snowman. Those of you that live in snowier regions, some of you may not know what a snowman is, but a snowman might be just 3 heads tall, and so all the body proportions could be based off of that. But when we average things out, and I believe it's Richet's method, artistic anatomy, Dr. Richet, and I'm not even unclear on that because it's such a not a settled kind of thing, but it works out pretty well for artists. We got about 7.5 heads. So do what's best for you. But as we look through this quickly and find some areas that we can use to help us drawing, that's what this is. It is a guide or a helper. Now, when this figure starts to take different poses, it may start running or sweeping the floor or bowling or throwing a baseball or leaned over in kind of Rodin's thinker. All these get changed up because perspective, our point of view, get changed, and that's why these areas that I have circled in blue are going to be important for you too. So this is a very rigid system because we're at about eye level. It's about abdomen, about right in through here, about slightly above mid-figure, right in through here, in a very simple kind of rigid almost pose. But when the model comes alive, these things change. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now I'm going to throw up some notes here, some points of interest as we go along to help you to hopefully keep you engaged, but give you some help with note taking if you're doing the drawing too as well. I think that's going to help too. Okay, so the first thing is we're about, again, 7.5 heads tall. Okay, basic figure proportion in scale. And I've got, in the actual drawing process part of it, I've actually got 3 different skeletons, the front, the back, and also the side. So you can see that, which is what I based this drawing off of as well when I did it in art school. Okay, the head and torso region together, head and the torso, which includes the upper rib cage area, the middle abdominal area, and what I really call the pelvis is about also in through here, about 4 units. So if we take 1, 2, 3, 4 units right in through here, the buttock can be part of the torso, at least in the back part. We're looking at about a total of 4 units right down to about the pubic bone. So keep that in mind. Now the lower area is also about 4 units, but they tend to overlap a little bit and come in together in through here. So we have about 4-ish units, and they overlap within the pelvic region, lower leg or upper legs, excuse me, in the pelvis. They tend to overlap just a little bit to give us that. So the leg at about the top of the hip bone in through here to about the knee, or the patella region to about roughly the ankle, maybe a little bit below. I've seen some people say the ground or the bottom of the foot. Notice how these are really, just think of it as very rough guides, okay? That's all. Don't get bogged down, I think. Depends on how you want to take it later on as you get more experience. You can be very scientific, but I think that kind of hurts the spirit of it. Notice how these are about equal. So from the femur, the hip bone, you'll feel it kind of pointing out. They call it the hip pointer in athletics. To here, about the same. Hip pointer to the middle of the knee to about what I think is about the middle or the lower part of the ankle. Just depends, okay? But they're roughly about equal. And then again, the upper part of the figure overlaps with the lower part of the figure right in this area. So you have that overlapping together. All right, so from about the chin or the lower part of the head down to the nipples in through. So notice that's about 2 units. That's also where the scapulae are as well, from the 7th cervical vertebrae right into here. This is the back part of your neck, where really the back begins, your neck ends. You can feel it behind your person. You can go back there and kind of touch it in your neck. And what's going on is these 2 muscles are splitting into 2 here, coming out of your neck. Sacrospinalis muscles. They go all the way down your back and help support your spine, so I'll kind of make that a little bit more obvious. And they attach ultimately to the sacrum here below. Okay, but the 7th cervical vertebrae, right here, remember the 7th cervical vertebrae, 1 unit down, a head unit, is about where the scapula, and it is about halfway, roughly, almost halfway down the rib cage. I might have these a little bit big, but like I said, I'm not really that worried about it. It's pretty accurate. As a matter of fact, this might be a little bit big and long, but if it looks good enough, it's okay. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. I'm not worried. I'm very much a generalist, and I don't get so scientific. But the purpose of this lecture and lesson is to give us some standard model guides to it all, to kind of simplify the complexity, if you will, a little bit. And then you can break it down and get more complex after that. All right, so about 3 units down, notice that we have the navel or the belly button. 1, 2, about 3 units down. Again, front view, side view, of course in the back view, also where the end of the sacrum roughly is. The buttock falls about 3.5 units down. We see that falling in through here. I don't have any hard, fast guides for you for the arms, but I do notice this in drawing over the years, is that really from the condyles, from where the sternum here meets the end of the clavicle here, which meets the scapula and also the humerus. We could draw if you could look in the skeleton later on, you'll see the arm bone in through here. That bony protrusion, that landmark, about down where the bony parts of the elbow, all the way down to maybe a little bit lower on the wrist, they're about equal. Okay, they're about equal measurements, so that will help too as well. Then of course you have the hands, the arms coming down as well. So kind of a resting figure on average from this particular region. It's about 1.5 units in the hands, the fingers fully rested extend to about a roughly 4.25 kind of units through there. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Keep these notes and handy in mind. Try to take decent notes. I think that that will help. In males, we're about 2 units wide, so 2 head units wide. Mine might be a little bit shorter, but it didn't. You know, that's a guide, and if I don't like the way it looks, I'll change it. So we're about 2 units roughly wide. Males are wider, obviously, in the shoulders and a little bit thinner in the pelvic region because they do not bear children, unless there's somebody out there that has broken that. That's going to be one amazing rich person if a male gave birth. Females are narrower in the rib cage and a little bit wider, obviously, in the hip region for childbearing purposes. So we have that too as well. Some things you can think about: the distance from the sternum to the top of the clavicles to the end, and then outwards to the rib cage is equal distance. So here to here, they're about equal distance. So here to about here is equal distance down. That's something that is interesting too as well. So what I've got now in front of us too as well are these blue circled areas. I call these bony landmarks. And when I draw, what I look for are these joint areas. So let's talk about them. Now the head's a bony landmark. It's a big 2 or 3 part bone with a little bit smaller multiple parts, but for the most part one big area, and that's our major unit of measurement for our figure roughly, right? So I went ahead and demarcated that. Now the 7th cervical vertebrae is important, but even more important are these joints, the top of the shoulders. Those are bony landmarks. We have the center line of our figure for the 7th cervical vertebrae, but also the sternum. So the sternum clavicle region, that's our true center line of our model. We have our back and through here. You can even think of the sacrum. And in a profile or side view, that gives us that true kind of side feeling. That's why these are probably a little bit easier to draw in the beginning than maybe a front view or even a back view as well. All right, so get a little candy here. The next bony landmarks are the elbows. So we have from the shoulder region, right, to the elbow, shoulder to elbow, bony landmarks. Then as we go down to the lower body, those hip pointers, there's a reason why we talk about, they're called the great trochanter, and they're like a cane, the end of a cane holding a kind of a stick. Kind of like this T-square, the end of that bone, the ball and socket on one end. Here, it holds into your hip so you can turn, right? And then you have this other side that kind of protrudes out. It's like a cane you hold on to. Well, that's a bony landmark, starting with the lower body here. This kind of, these overlap, this lower body with the pelvis. The upper body starts here, the upper body ends about at the end of the pelvic notch, pubic notch. The lower body ends here, all right, at about the top of the leg. So they're overlapping at about half that distance right in through there. I might put a nice blue line across there. Hope I didn't confuse you with that. So the upper body ends at about the pelvic notch. The lower body ends here at about the hip pointers, and that gives us that overlap. So I'm going to give us these two stronger blue lines here and also here to show that integral kind of overlap between the top part of the human figure and the bottom part of the human figure right in through there. So that's that wonderful kind of overlap that we get together, and then we get a total of 7.5 units. So hopefully I didn't confuse you too much there. Now, other bony landmarks, the wrists are a good bony landmark. They're obviously upper body, but they fall into lower upper. So really from the arms, we have the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, the shoulder, the elbow, right, the wrist. Same thing with the legs. Think of it in triumphants, right? We have the hip pointers, the knees, hip pointers and knees. That's 1, 2. And then the ankles, 3. 1, 2, and also 3. See how they're about equal distance apart. So we're looking for ways to make equal in their own little proportion and scale relationships to one another. Obviously, this distance is shorter than this distance, but these two distances from the hip pointer to the center of the patella to about roughly the ankle or somewhere below that. I like to call it the ankle, which seems to be fine. It might be a little long, or actually short, but it seems to relate pretty well. And so those are the bony landmarks what you're looking for. Now they can change. If the arms go up, they tilt. That's what makes drawing the figure dynamic and interesting, but also more difficult. But if you can start to look for and see and relate to those bony landmarks, you're going to have much more success getting scale and proportion under control. Those of you that are very new at drawing the figure, you're going to find that everything is hard. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not an easy task. It's a great lifelong pursuit. It takes about 10 or 11 years to truly master the figure. This was told, I actually asked Harry Carmian, one of my professors in Los Angeles, how long it took, and he said about 10 or 11 years. And that's from diligent study in kind of an academic sort of environment. So if you can imagine, like Raphael in his young days in his atelier, being a precocious 10 or 11-year-old, it would take about 10 or 11 years. He'd be 20 or 21, and then be a master. Don't worry about that so much, the length of time, because you can do great things in between it. And we're really talking about the most academic type of kind of mastery of drawing with anatomy involved, but all kinds of expressive things can be learned in between that might discourage somebody from going on to be an academic kind of draftsman, which is totally fine. I'm not so orthodox in my thinking, hopefully, in my methods. All right, so there's your scale proportions and your bony landmarks. I think doing the drawing is really worthwhile. This is part 1. Going on to part 2, if I sign it from my students, you will do that and complete that section, which I think you'll find this a helpful guide to kind of do the drawing and get it into your system, and then start to look for it as you start to sketch and see where things change and alter. And of course you have to rely on foreshortening and different methodologies, but I think what will also stick is finding those bony landmarks in just about any position. Sometimes they're covered up, you can find others, but you can relate to them quite well, like how far apart are the elbows, how wide are they, what's their movement. That gives you a nice kind of gestural sense as well. Okay, all right, so there's your scale proportion and bony landmarks. If you're brave enough to go on and actually do the drawing with me, I will see you on the other side on part 2 coming up. Okay, stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, so you've come to the second part of the lesson. This is actually doing the drawing. So the first part we looked at, and we talked about all of the bony landmarks, scale and proportions, the 7.5 heads high situation that we have that we're using for our essentially our introduction and our very general basic understanding of human scale and proportion as it relates to itself in certain body parts. And we use the head 7.5 heads high. So now let's put together the drawing. So for those of you, my students who have to do it, and those of you that in YouTube land want to do that, here we go. So this is kind of how I did that drawing. So I'm talking in the past when we look at the drawing, which is the future. So here we are. So I've got an 18 by 24 inch sheet of paper, and what I've done here, the top, at the bottom and the top here is 15 inches in length. So you think you want to start is probably draw a bottom line here, which is what I did. Drew a bottom line, then measured 15 inches up, and then drew a horizontal line across that. And the reason why is to fill our paper up, our units, the figure is going to be 7.5 heads tall, so 15 will do us really nicely, meaning that each head unit will be actually 2 inches. So the first thing I did was draw a horizontal line, measure up 15, drew another horizontal line, and then I drew a vertical line, my first vertical line down, and then each one of these individual units is 2 inches in measurement. Okay, that's where we're going to start, and we're going to kind of do all these together. So, not a lot of people, instructors, professors, universities, take a lot of time to do this, to actually show you the drawing. They just kind of show you the drawing, but we're actually going to do it together. I think that's more meaningful and, quite frankly, a lot deeper in terms of your learning and understanding. So once you do that, start bringing those lines across, nice and light. Draw very lightly. I'm doing these in a light blue, and then I'll be doing my figure draftsmanship drawing in kind of an orange or brown. So I'm just kind of bringing these lightly across, and I'm going to show you how I got the drawing that we looked at and analyzed further. Now, again, remember, it's important to note that the proportions and measurements for the figure I'm kind of drawing as we're drawing can be quantified. It's important, but it's also important to know that we are moving, we're undulating, we're breathing, and we're changing. So, we're looking at 3 different scenarios, and they're very rigid, they're very structured, they're very sort of, I had the camera at about 4 foot, 3.5 foot eye level, nothing's moving, so we can get an idea of our scale and proportion, but then we start to move and change, and that's where perspective and structure and our point of view really come into play, and quite frankly matters quite a bit. So this is a nice basic guide. Everybody should know this. Again, like I said before, there are a couple of different systems out there that artists use. I think most everybody uses the 7.5 heads. Some use 8 heads, which is more heroic, which is fine. You can use Robert Beverly Hill's method. I think he was measuring the actual, just the skull itself. I don't even remember it. Quite frankly, it's not important. I just use 7.5 heads, and it's always worked out. And you could use 12 heads, 15 heads, if you're doing cartoons, or think about Avatar, the movie Avatar. The blue, space figures, wonderful movie. Their head proportion is probably about 12 or 13 to units, because they're so tall and thin. But we've kind of averaged ourselves out now at about 7.5 heads. Okay, so once I've done that, I've got my lines across. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we have a half down below. Okay, then we're going to draw a couple of horizontal lines. One really, in the middle, and one really closer to the edges. Okay, that's going to be important. That's basically our center line, our design line of the figure, where we can really split the figure down the middle. I think that's important. So let me sharpen up here as you're doing that, and let's get started here in laying in our first measurement, our head. So we kind of have, since the figure pose is so rigid and so structured, this kind of really acts as our gesture, if you will. This really kind of acts as our beginning gesture line. So I'm going to start laying in the head. So we're going to do the front here. We're going to do the side here in the middle, and then we're going to do the back. Actually, maybe we should change it. Maybe we should do the front here, then the back, and then maybe the side over here. So maybe the front's kind of dominant. So maybe we'll do that a little bit differently. All right, so let's start laying in the head. So let's start working here together, and we're going to start to just gesture in that head a little bit. Okay. Head down here to about the chin, not including the neck, right in through this region here. So we have our head, kind of a blocky form. Now we're going to go a little bit more detailed. The drawing I did for perspective is a little bit more volumetric figure, a little bit cruder since we're not really focusing. It's not necessarily about the figure, but it is certainly about kind of perspectival structure. All right, so we have that. Let's bring in the back view over here. So now we're taking in a view of the head. And we're really the width of the head is about 3/4 of that that head shape distance. So we're taking in the view of the back of the head now. Back of the cranium is about halfway down, right in through here. Here we are in through here. I'll be giving you some measurements as we go along, and then we're going to bring that on down, right in through here. So that would be the back of the head, back in through there. It's kind of where the eye line is, right in through there. We're going to come down now with the skull, chin, cheekbone, chin about right in through there. Okay, so we lay this in nice and light, then we can darken it up later on. So we have that pretty much nice and clean. So you should be taking notes as we're going along. You take the first section that I popped up. I showed you the measurements that we talked about, but make sure you're writing and taking these notes, and so you have them. Always keep them next to me. I think that's important. So remember that the head and the torso are a total of about 4 units. So we have 1, 2, 3, really about 4 in through here. So we're going to come down in through here. Just keep that in mind. I've kind of got that sort of amped out a little bit. Now we're going to take that side view. Let's take the side view of our figure. We can come over and kind of give this a curved scenario here. You can start out with a triangle or another kind of blocky form with the head. So we've got that chin here, chin, back view, front view, and of course the side view in through here. So we're going to lay that in through here and over, kind of bring over that cranium a little bit in through here. You want them to relate together as we're studying. It really reinforces that which you'll be observing and altering and changing when you get into observation. So we can start to come down now the side here of the model. Of course, that gives us a little bit of that neck coming on through here. Okay, so we've got that in through there. All right, so we have the beginning of the head. Remember, those are 7.5 all the way down. All right, so as we start to negotiate the torso a little bit, we're looking at right in through here, this back view and front view of where the clavicle and the sternum is, about right in through here, just slightly below the first head measurement there. So kind of right in through there, we'll kind of demarcate that, with the straight line. And the torso is about 2 units in width. So about 2, from my notes, my old notes, about 2 units wide for the shoulders, including. So we have 1 here and about 1 there, and then we have about 1 here, about 1 there. That will help you a little bit in your learning through here. Of course, we're from the side, so we're going to be, a little bit narrower in that situation coming down. All right, so the first, kind of feel this into a boxy form for this rib cage. So we're back here, front here. Right, Kind of feeling that through, feeling this through. Then you've got this feeling now of the model in our side view facing left of this kind of curve, this nice kind of curvature that comes through in the spine coming down through here, and the rib cage pulls out a little bit in this direction. So we come this way, and then we're going to kind of crash back in where the sternum kind of ends in through here. It comes back in and over a little bit. Nice kind of design coming through there. So we've got rib cage, we've got this curve. Side views are really elegant, have a nice kind of elegance to them in through here. And so we're gonna push that down to about comfortably for now about right in through here. So we'll have sternum here, coming in, and we'll bring down the end of the sternum right in through here. All right, so we keep on going here. So from the bottom of the chin, right in through here, about another unit down, another head unit, we find generally where the nipples are. So we could come down one unit about right in through here, and we'll start to find, and of course we're in the front view here, so we'll start to find nipple forms, pectorals right in through here. Sternum a little bit higher, rib cage ends a little bit higher up. It wants to kind of come on over, but we'll kind of just feel this movement. So these nipples, pectoral area right in through here as we move through. You can start to kind of barrel out this rib cage, torso area, abdomen area a little bit further right in through here. So we'll kind of come on through, curve this in a little bit as we play around with that. And we can start to take now this back view or back shoulder view with the sternum from the back view, and we see where the humerus on both sides of the arms come down, spine kind of coming down in through here, right? And then so we have the rib cage, sternum in through here. So this distance ending about just slightly above the two unit mark will start to come in a little bit, about the same distance here from the sternum here to here, rib cage down into here, ending through. This kind of comes on through nicely. It gives you kind of a sort of an egg form, which feels pretty comfortable in through there. Slight tilt to the rib cage, back from here in terms of the figure. So in the back view, right in through here, we find the 7th cervical vertebrae, about right in through here off of one unit, kind of where the chin is, kind of right in through there, and that, we'll feel this neck just kind of coming into the structure of our figure here, kind of turning in through here, back of the head. We'll start to shape this a little bit here, and we'll shape this a little bit here further, kind of right in through here. Get a little bit of control there, kind of curve. So we can curve over that 7 and that top mark right in through there a little bit, kind of coming down nicely. Okay. Now the 7th cervical vertebrae about right in through here, one full unit from that point, and this is this bony part of coming over to the side view. This bony part of your spine, you can feel it off your neck if you kind of reach back there. You'll feel it protrude. Everybody has it, and it's a nice landmark artist use. If you're sketching from fantasy, whatever you're putting, you want to be realistic. You put that in. It feels pretty nicely. About 1 unit down is where the bottom of the scapula line. Now the scapula are those triangular bones that you can see that on the skeleton. We have that really stabilize the trapezius in the back of the shoulders. It'd be right here. It'd be about right here in terms of our model, right in through there as well. So, feeling this out from multiple views is pretty nice. So we'll kind of just indicate them gently softly in here, very triangular in shape. They feel like this coming through, and they really come up and help out with your shoulder deltoid, the neck, pectorals, even right in through here. So you have the scapula. It's not. I don't want to get into an anatomy lesson. That's a new series that will manifest itself in a year or two from now fully, but stay tuned for that, by the way. But it's really where the clavicle, the humerus, the arm bone right here and here, that bony landmark all kind of come together kind of nicely too as well. All right, so we've got this barrel shape in through here, and over here we'll kind of feel the nipple region coming through about 45 degrees from the clavicles, right in the sternum and through here, the clavicle sternum, kind of right in through there, coming out, right into here, coming out. This bicycle wheel bone that we have, and so for about 45 degrees out for both men and women sits the nipple in different various sizes. We're just kind of doing an everyday sort of, well, this is be male in through here. So nipples sit about right in through there, and this kind of rounds out, barrels out and through here a little bit, top and bottom pectoral. There we go, like so. So we have that. These split apart a little bit. I don't want to get too deep into that. We'll just bring down gently the neck in through here. Won't talk too much about it. It does get wider. Ultimately, these muscles attached to the sternum into the clavicles over, but it's not important right now. You kind of get a little bit of a back view. Make that a little bit broader. Okay, so we'll kind of tighten up this head a little bit here. So it's one head unit. So remember, we're at 15 inches. So that the head units, since we're 2.5, that's going to be 2 or 7.5 units. It's going to be 2 inches for the head, right in through there. So there's a center line right in through there, back of the head, a little bit off, but not bad, right in through there. And then we can find our brow line, which is slightly above center. Here's our eye line, about its center. Eye sockets will be right in through here. We'll give just a feeling for that, right in through there. Bottom of the nose, halfway down between the eye line and the bottom of the chin, right in through here, and then really the bottom lip, I'll just kind of put something there for now. So in between that, halfway down, put a little bit of a mark coming through here, just to give that pooch through inside the head. There we go. A little cleaner, a little nicer. And make this a pretty clean drawing. And then the ears are slightly above the eye, but about at brow to the bottom of the nose, right in through there. So brow to the bottom of the nose, about right in through there we go. And then we can do the same thing over here. They'll protrude out. So you can find those measurements halfway. If you'll just slide over through here halfway down, you'll see that. And of course, the head gets wider in the back view. We have a wider cranial part than we do the front view, and so we don't see the side plane of the head like we do over here. And so we can kind of just, we know where to place those ears because we can relate it to one side of our little standard model that we have. And there's our head, back of our head, neck. And then we can come over to the side. Let me sharpen up a little bit and start to tweak this a little further. So it'll be slow, but nobody really shows you how to place these, so that's what I want to do. So we'll take now the head and we'll find the center here, coming through, right in through there, slightly above that's the brow line, so we get a little bit of a notch coming through. We have the eye socket, and we'll come back over to get the cheek down to the chin, right in through that. And we can start to place the nose about halfway between the center of the eye here and the bottom of the head, the chin there, and then just kind of put a simple tilt for the nose right in through there. And we can get a side plane of the head coming in through. In that side plane, it's about halfway through and over the center of the eye line, right in through there. And then the center of the head in the side view is really where we have the jaw, where the jawline starts here. Okay, and then you get that. Let's get this back trapezius muscle a little bit. Sternocleidomastoid muscle kind of coming down through. Just kind of feel that through. I don't want to go into a big long discussion of that coming through. And then we'll come over, slightly curved. Okay. And then the center line of that blue line, you get the center of the head and the side, and it gets you your mandible coming down. This starts to arch in over about 15-20 degrees, and then the ear will be placed right in through there, very simply. Just keep that nice and simple. We can put a little bit of a cheekbone, give it a little bit of feeling in through there, top and bottom lip, and there we have our side of our head in through here, so we can keep on coming down. So notice how this rib cage pulls out a little bit, sternum, and of course we can start to place those nipples in the side. So right in through here, about right in through here, you'd feel that, and a little bit of the pectoral coming in and over, and just feeling that through, kind of right in through there. There we go. So we can see how we can put, I think it's really nice to be able to relate all these together. Look at the skeleton, have the skeleton of these around, and really have a better sense of how these are placed as well. So let's keep on going and moving down. Let's gesture out a little bit of everything else, and then we'll start to place that even further. Okay, so we're coming on over. We feel this kind of torso region, abdomen really now start to move in perspective here. Gonna come down. So I'm just drawing some abdominal type symbols and circumference type lines just to keep the drawing from being so stiff, kind of like the perspective drawing I did. We got a little stiff, but it's okay. This can be a little bit better. And so bringing that down, so we're bringing down the abdomen right in through there. The navel's about 3 units, so 1, 2, 3, yeah, we're about there. You know, if you're off a little bit, it's okay. It's all right. Just feeling our way through this. This is, you know, everybody's going to be changing it a little bit different. That's generally how I teach at the university and here at NKU. Is everybody's a little different. We've got all kinds of different measurements, but we can kind of quantify our human experience into this. So into the 7.5 heads. So we have that coming through in the front view. Then we're going to kind of start to feel the obliques, the side muscles, right in through here. Okay, these muffin top, love handle, whatever you want to, he didn't really have them, but you get the idea. They're just these side muscles, and even bodybuilders can have very expansive side obliques. They really help in stabilizing athletic movements, certainly, but really all of us in terms of just everyday living. All right, so we're coming over here. Let's work on this back view a little bit. So we're bringing this down. It's a little broader in the male. Males are broader, obviously, than most females, but not always. So we'll bring down this back a little bit. This trapezius in here, trapezius type. Feeling this triangular muscle into here. We'll keep it really simple. Coming down, this will be part of our shoulder. A little bit the deltoid in through here. Of course, we'll see that in the front. In through here. So make sure that when you're doing this drawing, you're doing really all of it kind of together, maybe a little bit wider. in through there. And then we can start to feel him in the side view. This will be kind of a tube in through here and down. I'll get into that a little bit later. So I'll talk about that. So let's just kind of bring down where his arm would be, right in through there, and we'll keep on trucking. All right, so we have working with the back view now. So we've got this kind of tapered view. Most male and female have a little bit of a taper. Scapula end about halfway down. We've seen that in the back of the rib cage, ending about right about 1.5 units from 2, about right in through here. We're ending. Let's make that a little more definitive now. We're curving on through here. We're curving on through here. There we go, like so. So when I was a student in LA at Art Center, we had to do this, but we had to copy from what the artist already gave us, and I didn't really know how it all kind of came together. So that's why it's good to do it together. I think that's the only thing I would have really changed about that particular approach. It's good to have it together and see us put it together. See your mentor, whomever you're working with. All right, so we have that. So we have this lower section of the abdomen where keep on going, where he would be the navel in the front would be here. This goes down a little bit. Of course, the obliques, right, start to happen a little bit lower, kind of running through here, and they come on down and through here. We're ultimately going to start to have our pelvic region and our buttock region, which is going to start to overlap. The torso, the upper body, and the lower body start to overlap. They generally overlap at about 4-ish, 4.5-ish, which is what we're getting into. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right in through here, so we get some overlap. That's quickly coming. All right, so this is our back view. We'll kind of come over and we'll feel the crotch. So about 4 units is where the crotch is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So right in through here would be where the gender of our model would fall. We'll just keep that very basic right in through here. Kind of a Ken doll, I suppose. And then we're going to come over with these obliques here and here. It's kind of triangular, as we see. And through here, that pelvic region here. And through here. Like so. Okay. And then we have, as we keep on coming down with the rib cage, we have a very kind of a tighter belly in through here. It fills out kind of nicely in through here where the navel is. We probably wouldn't see it opened like that, but it's about right in through here. And notice that it starts to have a nice kind of curve coming down, coming through. I think that's important to see. Kind of curve moving in through here in this direction, moving through. And then we tend to start to find the end of that pubic bone about our crotch area, right in through here about at 4, coming over, and then we start to feel this buttock right in through here a little bit higher up, where we get the overlap of the top part of the figure and the lower part of the figure. Okay, they kind of overlap together. So about 4 and 4.5. So buttock right in through here. We'll take that down, come through and over, kind of clean that through. So glutes right in through here, buttock. There we go, right in through there, kind of a rounded, sort of feel that form tapering in like so through there. Pull that down a little bit, there we go. All right, so navel at 3, top of the glutes again about 3 in through here, pubic bone at 4, bottom of the glutes not quite at 4, right in through there. Then we'll get the split of the sacrum here at about at about 3-ish, maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending. I'll put it about 3 where the sacrum is in through here. We start to split those two coming in together here and here. There, and we get obviously the buttocks right along our center line, in through here, pubic bone right in through there. Of course, the center line is pushed over transparently. So we can start to feel this buttock sort of kind of curve back onto itself as they really wraps around the pelvic bone. Both sides of the glutes really wrap in this direction, so they pull in this direction, pulling in this direction like so, and over. And so we can kind of just tighten this down on this side, right through here, and over, and down, and through there. All right, so now we have to talk about really the great trochanter, or the kind of the head of the femur bone, and you can see it on the skeleton there. It's this area that protrudes out a little bit that gives us this nice kind of hippie protrusion. So it starts really about at 4, so about right in through here. So let me kind of tighten this area up a little bit down through. So we can kind of finish this lower abdomen right in through here, and then the genitalia would kind of start right in through here and come downward a little bit. We'll just simplify that up. I have to get into all that for sure. All right, so the trochanter about at 4. So bulging here, bulging out here. It's this kind of cane-looking arched tube that comes out right in through here, right in through here. You can see it on the skeleton. And then we have it on the side, and we'll kind of demarcate it here as sort of a kind of a circular notch about at 4-ish, right in through there. Let me sharpen up my pencil, let you catch it. Remember, you can always slow me down as per needed. All right, sharpen this up a bit. Okay, so I think what's interesting too now is as we get from the trochanter in through here, just you can call it the hip bone, don't have to be too fancy. We get some nice measurements going on. So really from the trochanter is also about 2 units length here to the center of the patella, right in through here. So we come down, we'll kind of curve this, have this nice curve coming through here in the back. Okay, and over, so we get a nice kind of curve where these legs covered over. Of course, the center where the legs kind of come together, that's our center line here, our blue line. So we get this nice curve coming through here. So about where the center of the patella is, let's do this now in the front. So we get this same kind of thing coming, that's happening, and through here, kind of coming down, get a nice curve here coming down. Get this nice bulge of the legs here, and there we'll try to keep our symmetry pretty well. Center of the legs right in through there, and so that's where really the center of the patella will be, right in through there. Essentially the kneecap in that area. Of course, we're in the back view coming along in through there, so we can start to tighten this up a little bit, I think, as we work here in the front. So we've come along and we'll say, okay, we'll bring this down and through. Upper thigh area, then it starts to plunge, nice curve, really elegant curve coming through there. And then we can start to say, okay, the legs kind of come together and they meet. One kind of bumps into the other one, and just can demarcate that by sort of a darker line, really in through there. And so now we have our legs in through here, and we'll come to the back and start to finish these out roughly. Buttock coming down. Kind of get the top of the buttock. Kind of a boxy form. Kind of a, notice this opposite movement from the rib cage and then the back of the buttock. Here it kind of sits on the shelf and through here. Sacrum is about right. Finishing out about right in through here to here and over. That triangular bone, you can see it very much two halves of the buttock coming in through here. Really looks like the pelvis quite a bit, those glutes on top. And then as we come through, we can start to pop in. The trochanter pops out and the legs kind of pop in, and then they start to bulge and then nicely curve really nicely down into the back of the leg. And so these are both kind of like tubes coming together here and here. You see that? And then we can start to play off this buttock region here and here. And then ultimately in drawing the back of these legs want to kind of curve opposite from the buttock region. But we're gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna split these legs. Kind of a darker line down the middle, like so. To the two legs coming together. A lot of times there's air between, and it's fine. Okay, so we have that feeling now. And so now we're at that back of the leg, and so this starts to arch and do kind of this movement. The muscles tend to allow for the calf, the femur, the tibia and the fibula to start to come out and come through kind of like this. The bones come, the muscles attach at the top. I'm not going to go into too much detail. And they come out, and then the tibia and fibula come out this way, the condyles of that. But this is, again, now we're at 2 units from the trochanter. So we have 1 and 2, right? And what's nice about this length in through there is I'll come over here to the front. We should get the side too, right, as well. Okay, so we'll come over and come down, get that feeling of the leg, that bulging across here, buttock in through here. Okay, coming in through, then we get the back, that hamstring. I'm gonna go ahead and draw through this a little bit. I want you to see this feeling of this, how this relates together, this upward movement like over here, and then this downward movement to play off the pelvis and the rib cage and the oblique as they all work in drawing harmony, anatomical harmony, to do some really nice things in terms of design. All right, so we can bring this leg coming down in through here. So we're shooting for right here, the center of the patella, right in through about right in here. So we'll come down and feel this curve. You can straighten this out, but then ultimately what happens is we get that bulge of the hamstring just slightly in through, like so. As we come through. And then we can start to feel this kind of muscle pull through here. Let me come back and bring this over a little bit. There we go. Coming through, the sex of the individual would be about right in through here and over. In this case, male. Through here, his legs would tighten. Through here and downwards. There we go. About so. Then we can start to come on through and pull that leg to about, again, the patella region about halfway here. So 2. So about it feels about halfway in through here. Halfway in through here. I'm going to sharpen up a little bit. We keep on going. So we have some nice outer curve, S curve or C curve, however you want to think of it. Just nice, balanced, beautiful curving in and curving out. And we get the same kind of curve in this direction. Okay, so we're continuing on. So we have the patella. So now down to, from the patella down to 2 more units, that's where we'll find roughly the ankle. Right in through there, that particular area. So we've got these legs coming in to get that kind of calf look. And so we get this curve. Notice these beautiful curves coming in, coming out, kind of an hourglass S or C curves. And the legs the muscles want to come in like I talked about just a moment ago prior, to get these calves coming together. It's kind of awkward. They're kind of flushed together right in through here. Calf, gastrocnemius, calf, soleus, right in through here, right in through here. As they come together, and then we're kind of coming through. Now these muscles actually overlap the lower leg, upper leg, and they come out and are in front of everything else as we kind of come through here. And we start to feel the eye level change a little bit, and then we start to come downward, Same thing here, we're starting to move downward in our positioning, kind of concentric, kind of feeling as we're moving that way. Coming through, and then we come on down to the condyles of the tibia and fibia, their protrusions outward through here, then downwards through here. There we go. And we kind of dive in to the soleus muscle in this area, and then really to the Achilles down below, in through here as it gets kind of boxy, in through here. And then of course we have at about the half unit mark left to go. We really get the calf, into the calf, the Achilles here, to think and draw at the same time. Start to stop, and then we start to get the condyle on the outside, like so, kind of coming down, back in through here, getting into the heel. A little bit wider on this side and through here. We'll just kind of flatten this through. And we start to feel that bone right in through. Condyle, that back part of the heel, where the Achilles attaches to here. And we start to feel that now on the back area of the model. You can clean that up a little bit later. I'll clean this up even further. All right, so let's go now to the front and finish that. So we've got now the patella here, the knee bone, right in through here. It's kind of a circular, disky, cubic-like form, and through here, kind of coming on down here and through there and through there. Okay, then we'll start to take the leg on down further. Now we get a nice kind of curve. These bones, the tibia and fibia, both curve out like so a little bit. So we get down to the ankle bones right in through this area. And so that's going to take us here, this nice curve bulging out, and they kind of taper and come back in. It's a really, very stiff, kind of rigid feeling, but it's good to feel what's going on in terms of these scale and proportion ideas. We come in through here, so we can kind of pull these out just a little bit, and they hit that shin bone through their tibia and fibia. In this case, the tibia. Fibia is, I believe, on the outside. Okay, we're kind of coming in through here. Kind of get that rounded feeling of the calf. Right into there. Feel these thigh bones start to kind of turn a little bit through here. Downward turn of those tubes a little bit. Upward in through here. Then we can start to feel as they come together a little bit, that outside condyle of the ankle will hit. They would hit together pretty high. So high on the inside and low on the outside. I always have to double check myself. I know this backwards and forwards when I draw, but when I talk and draw, sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, make sure you get that right. So if you're a professional or if you have expertise in another field, sometimes you know how that can kind of mess with your mind a little bit. All right, so this bone wants to feel this curve. See how we feel this curve movement? That's important. This is not a straight. Notice how the legs really aren't straight, but they have a curved torquing feel to that. So we want to draw this feeling of the tibia moving in this direction to get to that bone down there. You know, I stopped the camera for a moment and I double checked myself. Just remember with the ankles, it's high on the inside, low on the outside. So there's this little angle I'll show you. Here and here you feel that with the bone. So high on the inside of your leg. Take a look at the skeletal model. You'll see that pretty cleanly. High on the inside, low on the outside. I want to make sure I double check that. So whatever I said before, if it's not correct, I'm being correct now. I always want to double check that. It's something to really be mindful of. I draw it correctly, but I say it incorrectly all the time. So high on the inside of the leg of the ankle, and then lower on the outside. For some reason, I always felt like that's counterintuitive. I don't know why, but I've done that. So the leg, the feet here, coming down into 7.5, we'll just bring down the symbols of this kind of the feet in through here, and then the toe region kind of a little bit larger, but we'll kind of just bring that over and conclude that coming in through. Then toes would come out, and then I like to just make a symbol of the toes in these simplified versions, and I can make this probably a little bit cleaner. Okay, so remember, high on the inside, low on the outside. And then the toes here, are the big toe is higher, and what I like to draw is for symbology is, let me get my ruler to control this, it can help a little bit, is lower on the outside. So maybe that's why I get a little confused, so to speak, right in through there. And so that will help a little bit. Tighten these down. So we want to do a good job of craftsmanship, and I'll go back and tighten up even further. And so that big toe a little higher than those smaller toes wrap around like so, and give us that look and feel to it. And this is kind of a curve as these ankles come through. Right in through here. The way the pivot of the joint, these two bones come down and they attach like so. So here's your foot. It's kind of where I'm at here, and these two bones kind of come down. The tibia and the fibia, and your foot is a pivot, kind of a pivot joint like so. So feel that through there. All right, so we've got that. Sorry about that if I confuse you. Remember, high on the inside, low on the outside. I got myself confused. That's because this is hard stuff. Or let's finish out the legs. So we've got the side view now coming down, so we can kind of feel where the calf is. So we can find a gesture in as this curves in. When we get to the patella, the center of the patella here, and then we can kind of curve down to the condyle and then get to the foot. The foot really becomes like a triangular wedge right in through here from a flat view, really kind of triangular there. And so we'll come on down with the calf. We can see the calf at about the bulge of the calf at about 1 unit from the start of the leg and through here, so we can sort of feel that roundness through here. A little bit of a slight lean back too as well. That we can come out here, and this really, the front of the leg really rides that bone, so you can kind of feel your own anatomy and where that really rides. If you've ever popped your shin, you know what I'm talking about. So we kind of feel that coming in together. Then we'll come on down to the outer condyle, which is lower, right? So high on the inside, low on the outside, right in through, about right in through there. Get tighten it up with a little bit of a straight edge, right in through there, and this curves on through to the soleus, and then just really to the back of the foot there. And then we'll come on down. Just make this. We want to feel this is very triangular. Through there, heel, that padding coming on through, and then we'll come on through and down. Yeah, just kind of feel this curvature, this kind of rounded, padded forming through here. We have the bottom of the foot, and then we would see on this outside the smaller toe. It kind of tends to come back on in, and we'll just flatten that down into the ground as it sits onto the ground, right in through there. Little top line there for that pad coming on through. Okay, so there we go. Now we have to put the arms on. We can talk about that. We can talk now also about a little bit about bony landmarks too as well. All right, so let's keep going. All right, let's tackle now the arms. So in the back view, I'm going to have the arms I think just coming down straight, maybe resting to the side of the figure, and in the front view I'll have them splayed out a little bit, something like this, just to give you a picture of what goes on there. And they're a little bit past 4, probably about 4.5 extended, and then of course straight on they're a little bit longer in the back view, so we're looking at something kind of like these shoulders could be a little bit wider a little bit later on. Widen those out. Elbow will be about right there, coming down to what will be the arms, kind of resting down at the side here and here, and then the gesture for the shoulders. The shoulder width, especially in a male, is about 2 units, 2 head units wide. So we could go a little bit wider here, I think. Let me erase this out. A little heavy there, so you can see that come out a little bit, so we can get off that and onto our shoulders here, so we can kind of feel this at about this width over and through here. So we'll bring this pectoral over a little bit, pooch this out a little bit, bring these shoulders up a little bit further to there, to the end of the clavicle where the scapula and the humerus that meet the arm, really the arm bone, if you will. So this would be a little bit, could be a little bit wider coming out. So this will come out here, this will come out here, and then they'll be, the arms will be we'll have them closed a little bit, so they're not open like this. The hands, I mean, not open like that. All right, so we'll come down here. The radius, the humerus coming down, it is about in between. We have 0, 1, 2, so about halfway down, right in through here, what I feel like. I don't have any grand insights there. I just kind of draw a lot of what I see there. They're about equal from really the shoulder to the condyles of the elbow right in through here that make up this kind of, it's kind of a triangle here where this bone here, and then where they really come together, the ulna and the radius to the humerus, kind of make up a little triangle here. And of course, same thing on the other side as well. So they're about the same position. They'll be a little bit lower than in the front view. So here, bony protrusion. See how they make a little bit of a triangle. And that kind of, really in drawing, it kind of feels like a boxy, later on, kind of a box-like sort of form. So we have the shoulder here, back kind of comes over underneath with the deltoid, in through here, trapezius, in through here, coming over. We'll bring that to its extension over here. So we're going to come just down and resting right in through there. Here we go. A little bit of the tricep in through here. Just feel that out just a little bit. And we'll get into the elbow. And then coming down the back of the forearm here. This feels, both of these feel in through here and in through here, kind of like a bean form, bean tube-like kind of form, both together. This extends out a little bit in through here, outwards, and it comes down. We'll have it resting, kind of overlapped a little bit by the leg, and coming on down to the hand sitting on the outside in through there, and they'll come over, and we'll start to feel these hands. We'll start to gesture them down about right in through here. Feels pretty comfortable, pretty natural right in through here. Of course, they're going to be higher, all right, over here on the other side and through here. So we have our hand. We'll feel that this little bump, this intrusion here, this ulnar P on the pinky side. Right, that's the ulna. The radius is here. The radius diagonal here. When it opens up, they're straight, and when they close in this position, we have the radius of the thumb moving over, and this bone overlaps. You can see it on I don't think you really can't see it on this skeleton because it's a little bit flatter and sideways, but that is certainly what is happening. And through here we have the pad. Maybe we can kind of put this finger down at the side and through here. Well, you can see kind of sort of a pinky, and then we have this pad of the wrist. Right in through here we have a little bit of muscle coming through here, just a soft tissue, ligaments, and then it's kind of a pad on this side. Since we're having it kind of at a tension, I suppose, kind of military. Through there. Okay, let me sharpen up here. So really they fall at 1, 2, 3, 4 units down, and a little bit more, almost halfway down, like 4.5 units down from the body itself and through there. So all right, sharpening up. Always continue to always engage in your sharpening, and I'll tighten this up later off camera, and I'll show it before we have actually done this drawing. And so let's go to the other side here now. Remember, of course, the scapula. I'll draw them a little bit lighter, not as protruding as much, and of course the back splitting into two forms here of the rib cage. Left and right sacrospinalis muscles coming down. So remember that scapula about halfway down, about 1 head unit. And then we'll come over to the other side here, hit our shoulder. A little bit, just a slightly touch wider where the deltoid is. Shoulders, deltoid, and we'll just start to bring these on down. And through here we've got these touch points where the outside parts of the humerus and the ulna and radius come together, and they protrude through. It's kind of a triangular form, almost as like a boxy form, but we'll kind of tube it off as well. Tubes are fine too. And then we'll come on down with the forearm here, and a little bit of the tricep coming down in through here. Just a little hint of that. This kind of feels like a contouring here, feeling, contouring around. We'll make that like a tube. That's a nice feel and look to the drawing. Just gives it a sense of that more rounded dimension, since we're so rigid here. These proportions that work is really our basic guide, but remember, all of a sudden a human figure gets up, it turns, it twists, and you might think all hell breaks loose, and it might seem like that, but these are a good guide to keep in your mind or your arsenal, your tool chest, so you can rely on to help out, but they certainly will change. All right, so we'll come down with the forearm here and feel that kind of bean form in through here. Basically like a bean stuck in a little tiny tube out, and so they overlap. The leg comes in front of. So we have now the wrist coming down, a little bit more of an angle, and we get coming into that, again, that ulnar P. This should be bent a little bit, sorry about that. Like so, that little ulnar P, the end of the wrist here again, here right in through there. You can really feel it how it protrudes out. But right in through here, it's kind of a circular, boxy kind of form. And then we come on down to the top of the hand, to the first digit here, knuckle digit, and then over. And kind of curved in with our hand, that fatty palm there. This part really right in through here. Sorry about that, poison ivy. And then we have the end of the fingers and the joints right in through there, kind of resting at back and at attention there as well. Okay, so we have that. Now we're going to extend out on the middle figure, the front figure a little bit, and we want to kind of feel these arms extending a little bit, just in kind of a different pose. I'm going to sharpen up here. Take your time to sharpen. This will give you a chance to catch up a little bit, but you can always stop the video. Best joke I've heard in a long time in my studio classrooms with my students. When last semester we were studying perspective, and I was giving a lecture and demonstration. They were drawing with me, and I was going pretty fast. It was pretty difficult, and the student said, it's like I'm in a YouTube video, but I can't pause it. It's like it's torture. So here you can. Here you can pause it. So I don't want to torture you. All right, so we're going to come with the hand. So we're moving both the arms up, the hand and the top of the arm with the deltoid, the bicep, and then the lower arm here, forearm, and then down to the hand. And we're gonna curve these hands back in. So this figure is going to be, as we pull up here, this length will start to raise up some in through here. So we won't be quite as low as when the figure rests as well. So we have that. So we have our lay in here coming over. So again, gesture, we can bring that over. It's pretty symmetrical. You know, the human body is fairly, roughly, I'll say, roughly symmetrical in our understanding of it. And then as we get to the fine points, supermodels in their beauty they have that kind of intensive beauty symmetricality that makes them supermodels, actually. All right, so through here. All right, so we'll come through here now. We'll work on this upper body, upper shoulder area here. We'll make it the deltoid coming over, which is the shoulder muscle. Kind of overlaps here. It's not an anatomy lesson, but I'm just showing you some things here. Pectoral here, and they both overlap. And then underneath that, where the bicep comes all the way up and attaches to the clavicle, actually. We come over, we can see this kind of elongates in through here and kind of come on over. And here's where this digit of the elbow gets a little bit demarcated here. Actually, it's back over and through here. It's actually a little bit wrong, but let me push that over. There we go, like so. And then we can get this kind of overlap here, bicep coming through like so. And then we'll get this coming over to our hand and forearm. Nice, really secured look here of the forearm, bulging a little bit, and this comes over like so. Pull that through. Then we're going to see this overlap with the arm like that. And then we're going to get the hand. We'll just kind of abbreviate the hand. I've got the basic structure of that too. So you can see where it's a little bit higher now in the composition, kind of pinky finger. So what I do is just try to find the digits of the hand, these top knuckles right in through here is in these kind of demonstration drawings that they're kind of in between realistic and sort of made up instructional figures. How about that? So I find that knuckle bridge here, and then you can kind of find another one with the second digits along here. So the first one and the second one, even the tip of the fingers kind of helps. It's kind of like drawing hands and mittens or gloves a little bit, just to simplify that. And I might draw a major dominant finger, and then it starts to bend in through here, maybe kind of curl sort of through. Nothing to really get too detailed there, otherwise we'd be here for a while. And then the thumb down in through here, we feel that over and kind of protruding and kind of coming over like so, in through there. And that gives us our hand, arm, in through here. So about, again, at 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 units, a little bit longer. And of course, this arm is going to be, hand and arm are going to be pushed up because we've raised and elevated. So an interesting thing as you're drawing, I'm going to sharpen here. Something that's interesting too is that the human figure, roughly, we're actually a little bit longer when our arms extend outward like this, all the way to the tips of the fingers. We're just slightly a little bit longer than we are high. But if you reduce down, you can kind of cut that length off by about right here on your fingers or so. It's so slight that we're kind of a square. So we're about when we splay out our arms, about as tall as we are in the length of our so-called our wingspan, which is pretty cool if you think about that. So I'll give this guy a little bit of an rectus abdominis here. We won't give him a six-pack. We'll kind of give him that just to make that feel even kind of more male-ish for now. We have that coming through. Okay. And through here, hip pointers, great trochanter. All right, so let's finish out this side of our figure and through here, so he might be a little bit wide. Can bring him in, bicep, deltoid of the shoulder coming over a little bit like so. We'll kind of make a bigger issue out of that. Then we have the bicep in through here, kind of coming down like so, coming over. All right. And then we have our forearm muscles as they start to overlap a little bit here. Essentially, this whole thing is a tube all the way down to the wrist in through here, right in through there. And then we have the forearm coming over and through and down. See those forearm muscles coming over? That might be a little bit large and long. Bring this down a little bit, and then we'll start to come in with that bone, the ulnar P, We don't see it on this side. You might see a little bit of it over here. And so our hand coming down, remember these the larger digits for the knuckles, right in through here. Thumb would be over through here, kind of relaxed and bent in. And hands, here we go, like so. And major finger, maybe it almost wants to curl back on itself, kind of get foreshortened, but we'll kind of keep it like that. Knuckle protrusion, I'll just kind of draw one major finger through here, then I'll clean up that a little bit. That seems to be good. Right in through here, thumb. And we're off to the races a little bit. There we go. Kind of hidden. I've got that one kind of hidden back there. All right, so we've got our hands now, arms and our hands. And so let's work on now our side figure here. Let me sharpen up. Okay. And we'll come through. Okay. So we're gonna feel this barrel chest right in through here. Feel this barrel of the chest right in through here. And it starts to flatten out in our viewpoints, and then we'll get the side of the head, the figure in through here. You might be a little bit wide in through here. So again, we're working with 7.5 heads high from head to toe. It overlaps a little bit. That cheek coming down, that bone. A little bit flatter. Okay. All right, so let's work now our arm. And I'm going to put our side character, our side figure, we'll put him with like our back view. We'll put him completely side down at attention to get that length. So here we go. All right, so let's bring this down. We'll work on this side view. We've got the deltoid, or the shoulder muscle, in through here, bulging out through, overlaps kind of nicely. Bring this pectoral up and over, and start to curve this through a little bit. There we go, and up through. This overlaps. Nice touch pointing. And we'll get to the elbow, bring the elbow here a little bit above the great trochanter, right in through here, elbow, arm coming downward, a little bit of the bicep, kind of a beam form right in through here, bicep opening up a little bit, down below, this will bulge out, get a little of the tricep head about right here, bulging, the inside of it here, down to the elbow, like so. Then we'll get the elbow about right in through there. Then we'll get that complete hand length about right there. I'm probably a little bit long, but like I said, I don't have any great insights about the arm length, and I don't really obey that to anyone's particular formula. I just try to get some real nice beginning rough estimates. I'm making them longer or smaller based on what I need as an artist. And you can do the same thing, but this is the 7.5 heads is a good rough, really good guide. Really nice, anatomical, fairly average all over. All right, so we'll get the forearm coming down, kind of resting in attention, but it'll still kind of protrude forward like so. So we'll get this condyle, the elbow really protruding out here. There's two parts of that bony, those triangular bony protrusions like in the back. We'll see two parts here and then there, and then we can start to come down right in through here to where the wrist would be, roughly right there. Remember, we're lower than on this side because he's resting here. He's raised up a little bit. There we go. So we can meet that coming through And then we'll start to rest this hand. Let me sharpen a little bit. Okay. So once we finish here, we're going to find these bony landmarks really quickly, and then we'll be done. Not too much longer. All right, so we have that coming through. We have these, kind of feel this forearm muscle through here. Feel that kind of coming down and over, just twisting slightly through there. Then we have the hand, which will start a little higher here, and then want to kind of come in a little bit here and come on down. So it's kind of a diagonal kind of feeling here in the back. We can push bulge this out and then dive in for the wrist about right in through there nicely. Feel that over. And come back with this hand. I'll start to feel that knuckle line about right in through here. Here we are, knuckle line in through here, and have those fingers. I'll protrude this thumb out, just kind of give it a gesture. Right in through. Right in through there, then have these hands kind of come back, resting this way. Although it might be advantageous to have them slightly downward. Let me, let's erase that through. Starts to get a little heavy. There we go. It might be advantageous just to actually rest them at attention here. This would still be higher. Coming in and down. There we go. About like that. There we go with our hands coming through, arms in our hands. Maybe just a little bit longer. And kind of curved over. Like so. And the thumb can rest kind of flat. Like so. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. So that gives us now the arms on our figure as well. Really coming in at about 4 and a quarter, 4.5 really. And of course raised up, it's going to be a little bit higher too as well in terms of here. All right, so we really laid in what we need now for scale and proportioning of our figure. And let's kind of recap what we did, but let's also find these bony landmarks too as well, and discuss what to look for when drawing when this particular scale proportion model goes a little bit awry when you draw. All right, let's take a look at some bony landmarks from our figure here. So a couple of really tried and true landmarks that we look at. Number one is really the head. The head is 7.5 units tall. So I'm going to take this little template here and use it as an illustration kind of device just to kind of demarcate what we have. So about 7.5 units. Bony landmark is obviously the head. It's pretty clear. 7.5 units tall. So we'll put here 7.5, 7.5, so 7.5, something we always want to look at. Now this can be changed, it can be altered. You could have 8, you could have 12, 15 for long, you could have 3, you could have a really short, like a snowman might be just 3 or 4 heads high. So keep that in mind. Another more bony landmarks that we look for are the shoulder region. Very important region. So I'm going to demarcate that here and here. So where the sternum meets the scapula, meets the humerus, or your upper arm bone. It's a nice bony landmark, landing right in through here on our model, right in through here on the model, both for men and women. Really, the bigger difference between men and women is the size of the rib cage. The rib cage in women is a little smaller, slider, less narrow. They're not quite 2 units wide in the front. And in the pelvic region, the pelvis is a little bit wider for childbirth, certainly, as well. So we have our bony landmarks of the shoulders, and you guessed it, anywhere when they say bony landmark, where there's a bone protrusion, the elbow, right? There's another bony landmark there, another bony landmark here in the elbow. So we have the shoulders, we have the elbows, both front and back. These come in handy when you're drawing the model in many different poses or positions. We want to look for those. How do they line up? How do they not line up? You can tell where this is a little bit longer than that one, which is fine. Just in terms of my drawing. So when we're looking for landmarks, what are your guides there? Where are they showing up? The sternum, true center of the body, is another bony landmark, right in through there. Right where the neck ends, comes down, this neck comes down. This is kind of the trapezius back in through here, and then we get the actual neck muscles. The sternocleidoid muscles will attach onto the clavicles here of the sternum, about right in through there. So our neck actually gets wider as it goes up and attaches behind our ears about right in through there. Like I said, I don't want to get into an anatomy lesson, but that's kind of, it is what's going on for sure. And in through here, it's another bony landmark in through here. That gives us the center. So that sternum gives us the center. So what happens over here in the side view, we've got the sternum located here. That gives us our profile. That's why profile views are probably a little easier because of that. Here's the center of the head here, right, is also the profile here. And of course, we have the back. The seventh vertical notch here on the spine, right here, the seventh, is a nice measuring point. And it's a distinctive point because you can feel it. You can feel it when you reach back to the back of your back there and your neck. You can feel it. It's kind of where the back begins and the neck ends. Is how I like to think of it. And it's a nice marker too, because it gets us to, it's about 1 unit, and it gets us to the back of the bottom of the scapula. Remember, the scapula are about halfway down the rib cage and through there, a little bit lower in the back, but about halfway there. All right, so another bony landmark are the hip pointers on both and all viewpoints if we can find them. Sometimes you can't find these, that's okay. Sometimes you don't get all your bony landmarks. So our hip pointers are a great trochanter, that cane-like feeling of that hip bone as it comes out. So there's another bony landmark. And we can also say it's like joints, right? They are kind of like joints. So the trochanter inside here, we wouldn't see it. I'm going to demarcate it kind of on the outside in through there. It's another bony landmark there, right? So we have that. So the hips, the knees, or the patellas are nice indicators here as well. It's another bony landmark to look at, especially when a figure is bending or moving back the same way. Another bony landmark here and also here. Demarcate that in blue so we can see that pretty strongly. Over to the side. I also like to think of really another bony landmark as the wrists. So the wrist can help guide us in our finding of scale and proportion that the model is giving you. Everybody's a little bit different, a little heavier. Some can be slightly longer. We can break out of these kind of rigid standard model that we're using, but in not so dramatic ways. It's the same way that the head works for the human figure, in that it's a good standard model, and then we really find the deviations, off that too as well. So keep that in mind. If you're wondering, hey, wait a minute, this person's a lot wider. Well, yeah, but they still do a lot of conforming into our standard model feeling, and then there's going to be some changes, size of ears, things of that nature can be productive to find. All right, so a few more bony landmarks. The other bony landmarks way down here are the ankles. Very, very important. I'm gonna, since they're kind of together, I better put 2 circles, right? So you'll see that. So another bony landmark of the ankles here. And here I look for, all artists look for joints coming together. They really, the bony landmarks indicate joints, they indicate changes in the limbs where something comes into another. And so we can get a good measure or feeling of what's going on, you know, with the models. I think that's important too. Okay, so there you go. There's your process of doing this drawing. A lot of artists won't show you that. They'll just make them and then kind of talk about it. But if you hung with me, then you got the process part of it too. And then if you're in my class and I assign it, of course, you have to do it. All right, so I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to make the first part of the video explaining it. So there you go. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.